Whoa, 140 plus views on the first MegaTen V chapter. I know it doesn't seem like much, but wow, y'all. I've never gotten that many views on a non-YouTube short. But seriously, I have to say thanks to everyone from Reddit and whoever randomly found little old me through YouTube search. It means a lot. But anyways, now that my Shin Mega Appreciation intro is out of the way, let's get ready for the demonic invasion of Shin Megami Tensei V's second chapter to be unleashed upon our human souls. But people, don't worry. Trust me, we have the Nahobino Lemurio on our side. We will triumph. Raise your flags of humanity to Shin Megami Tensei V Chapter 2, The Triumph of Man.
In that case, I will see that your trial concludes at the end of my blade.
Humanity's future is in our hands.
So, if any of you all did not see the first chapter of my MegaTen V collection, definitely go watch it, y'all. Come on, Shin Megami Tensei V Chapter 1, The Rise of Man. But wait. I'm going to do a short 1-minute recap of it before we get into this. So start your timers now. The allusion to the Garden of Eden story in the beginning of the game teaches us that humans are able to order their world closer to their vision like the Creator due to their consumption of the fruit of knowledge. The humanistic angle was introduced here. Due to their consumption, they now have the ability to use sciences, math, technology, and engineering to order and create their world. Humans are preyed upon by demons because they desire this godly and godlike creation ability. Humans possess precisely what they lack: knowledge, what is necessary for godhood. While exploring the earthly realm is not as interesting as exploring the netherworld, the former does present human issues and humanistic problems. This actuality reveals the moral that humans deal with woes in their regular life, even outside of demons. Okay, so that is essentially the recap of what I covered in Chapter 1, the introduction. But feel free to go give that a view after this video. Now, going forward, I should do this warning. Compared to Chapter 1, this chapter will have significant spoilers, even including the discussion of one particular ending. So, if you haven't obtained all endings, or can't guess what ending it is with certainty, proceed at your own risk. Add this video to a playlist and come back to watch it once you feel safe to do so. So, without further ado, let's get into the meat of this. To start, two characters who served as a MegaTen. Come on, y'all. This is a Shin Megami Tensei video. I need all the mega insert puns and wordplay I can get. But seriously, two characters who served as mega thematic devices for the philosophy of humanism in Shin Megami Tensei V are Yakumo and Nuwa. Yakumo and Nuwa were the two characters that heavily served as agents for the humanistic philosophy of MegaTen V. And if you want to look for the philosophy of humanism in MegaTen V yourself, the conversations with Yakumo and Nuwa are gold mines, as well as any NPCs who mention the two. These two characters stand as a unique third faction in MegaTen V. They stand opposed to both the forces of chaos and the forces of order. They fight neither on the behalf of the Creator nor any of the demon rulers. They fight for humanity. However, their fight for humanity is an interesting approach. You see, for Yakumo in particular, he desires the power of humanity to become more than the power of demonkind. Thing is, Yakumo does not intend to strengthen humanity by broadcasting a pep talk to all of humanity. His method is more so, how would you say, culling of the herd. Translation, do away with the weak and reinforce the strong. What is interesting is that while Yakumo's family were law officers by profession, as you can see based on his outfit, his mother was a medium who helped those tormented by dark spirits. One particular person she sought to help ended up being seduced by a demon's promises and eventually slaughtered Yakumo's entire family. So Yakumo's low tolerance for weak humans becomes clearer. The human who was seduced by the demon showed weakness in that moment, and he now would probably consider his slaughtered family weak for being unable to defend themselves against the demon-seduced man. A middle-aged officer tells us of a Sergeant Yakumo. The officer tells us that Sergeant Yakumo was very hard on himself but very kind to others. This is what the officer says got Yakumo killed in the end. Apparently, someone took advantage of it. Now, I am unsure if the Sergeant Yakumo that the officer was speaking of is the Yakumo that we see with Nuwa or one of his relatives. It never truly became clear to me. Regardless, the demon-seduced man gave into the temptation of demon kind, his will succumbing to the promises of a demon. It was the actions of this human that gave him his disdain for weakness amongst humanity. I'd also speculate that it was the trauma of this incident that will give Yakumo his conviction to have humanity be on even footing with the demons and eventually overpower them. As such, now we see this Yakumo as being the opposite of Sergeant Yakumo, very hard on others. Ayogami even comments to Nuwa that Yakumo doesn't even trust his fellow man. Perhaps this traumatic event could be the reason why. Nuwa, however, feels that she understands Yakumo much more than most. Nuwa is a goddess, supposedly the creator of the mortals, aka humanity. Her Chinese mythology counterpart supports this. However, that mythology is somewhat irrelevant, maybe. What is more important is that Nuwa also mentions in this same scene that Yakumo is apparently her other half. Other half? That's very interesting. Here is where we get into big spoiler territory, people. Later in the game, we come to learn that humans and fallen gods are very closely related. We come to learn that certain humans bear the particular knowledge of particular fallen gods. For example, Dazai holds the knowledge belonging to Abdiel. Yuzuru holds the knowledge of Koshimitsu, who we come to find out is actually Tsukiyomi. Sahori held the knowledge of Lamu, Lemurio, Susanoo. For the fallen who finds the human that holds their knowledge, they do have an uncanny knack for understanding them. In that way, they also possess the will to provide for them what they need or think they need. Where I am going with this, and I don't believe that it was ever explicitly stated, is that perhaps Nuwa knew that Yakumo was the human who held her knowledge. Now this may be far-fetched. Chinese mythology mentions a lover of Nuwa named Fuzi. Perhaps by saying Yakumo was her other half, he could be a symbol for Fuzi, Nuwa's love, even though he is human. Yakumo symbolizes Nuwa's love, and because he aims for the strength of humanity, because he does love his fellow man, in Nuwa's words, she also aims for the strength of humanity because she also loves humanity. So, Nuwa and Yakumo's message to humanity is simple: stand and fight. The method of Yakumo to strengthen humanity by culling the herd is an interesting one. Nuwa tells us that Yakumo rejects humans who have given up precisely because he believes in humanity's potential for strength. However, Ayogami operates as a challenger to many of Yakumo's ideals throughout the game. They both are on a mission, whether programmed or self-assigned, to fight for humanity. The philosophical difference of their missions, though, cannot be understated. Ayogami was constructed, programmed to aid humanity in its entirety. He was deeply upset at Tao's initial death, a single human. He expresses disappointment in allowing her to accompany him and Lemurio to Shinagawa. Tao, herself, was mostly defenseless against the demonic hordes. However, her death affected Ayogami nonetheless. Yakumo, as I've discussed earlier, claims to care very little for the loss of weak humans. In fact, he feels that it may be even better for the future of humanity. He asks, what good is a human unable to fend for themselves? What good are they if they are unable to resist the temptations of demons? What good are they if they will betray their fellow man? However, we learn how Yakumo truly feels. Yakumo truly does not desire to cull the herd. Yakumo does desire to perish the blight of angels and demons on humankind. However, he only desires the parasites amongst humanity to be eliminated. This, in Yakumo's words, will allow humanity to create a just and fair world. Now both of these views are interesting. Ayogami, a demon, never displayed the desire to outright harm a human, even rescuing the sure-to-die Lemurio in the beginning of the game. Yakumo would suggest that humankind would be best without any of these ethereal creatures, Angel, demon, none of the sort. They are parasites who only desire to feast on the weakness of humans. And, as I pointed out, Yakumo also notes that parasites exist amongst humanity. Yakumo has a very great point, to be honest. Goku hits us with a quote during the assault on the Demon King's castle. He asks us whether or not we've ever given thought to what Bethel and his allies should be striving for. He proceeds to say that one cannot grasp the future so long as their hands are guided by the wills and whims of another. Yakumo's reasoning is underlain by the idea that humanity should no longer be swayed by the machinations and influence of ethereal creatures and/or entities. That in order for humanity to create a more just and fair world, they must rid themselves of these parasites that feed off mankind's pain and weakness. In other words, for humanity to have a better future, they must guide themselves via their own wills. This will nurture strength amongst each other, with no parasites to corrupt the weaker of the bunch. Aside from a handful of demons, Yakumo is mostly right. We've seen very little evidence of angels rescuing humans, aside from their desire to uphold the Creator's order. Neither the forces of chaos nor the forces of order are exempt from this. They do not truly place the flourishing of humanity at top priority. So, in the Destroy the Throne ending, we see that Nahobino will destroy the throne, as the name implies. This is the ending that completes the Yakumo and Nuwa storyline. You see, by destroying the throne, there can no longer be one god to rule all, or any gods for that matter. There can now only exist chaos and humanity. Humanity, for all its modern flaws, is now the only force with the potential for order. Besides the bystanding Nahobino, Goku narrates the conclusion. We learn during the conclusion that Aogami was correct. Many humans do indeed die during humanity's struggle against demonkind. However, where Yakumo was correct is that humanity will persevere. They will continue their fight against the demonic invasion using their knowledge and creation. And if there is any solace to be found in this ending, it is that the bystanding Nahobino will watch over the battle, pleased by the thoughts of things yet to come. Yakumo and Nuwa provide MegaTen V a very interesting commentary as it relates to the potential for humanity. Aside from the other elements of humanism riddled throughout, they really became the signal that humanism is a theme in this game. Yakumo's trauma, which turned into his conviction to see humankind unassisted stand on even footing with demonkind, was probably the single greatest thing that MegaTen V did for any of his human characters. Shame, key clues towards it were tucked away behind unnamed NPC dialogue, but, you know, it is what it is. MegaTen knows its true strength and sticks to it. But the writers knew they could still insert written substance like this, just in case someone looks for it. Wow, MegaTen V Chapter 2 is complete. I'm feeling like this ends my video essay series for this game. I originally planned 3 parts, but I don't know. I haven't obtained the true neutral ending myself. However, I have seen it, and I do still have an idea for the 3rd part, the final part. But let me know, people. Would you all be interested in seeing the 3rd and final part? Let me know via comments, likes, and subscribes. Also, let me know if you all would like to see me do the MegaTen V Super Bosses and True Neutral Ending over on my Twitch live. Check the description for it. Appreciate you all for watching. Maybe we'll meet back here again for MegaTen V Chapter 3. Lemirio out.